Hi everyone, I'm Alice Langthorne and I'm a member of the Box Clever team, a market research agency located in Leeds. As an office manager at Box Clever, I provide essential day-to-day support to our qualitative team. I'm also very proud and honoured to have won the AQR Parker Prize for Emerging Talent earlier in the year. During the evaluation process of the Parker Prize, all finalists were invited to share their perspectives on the future of the market research industry. It's really interesting to hear firsthand everyone's different perspectives. And today, I'm excited to bring their insights to all of you. As we look ahead to the future, we delve deeply into the transformative shifts that promise to shape our understanding of consumers, data, and the very core of market research itself. In this video, you'll hear about the cultivation of inclusive accessibility, the rise of AI, the integration of agile and more digital-led methodologies, to reimagining traditional office spaces. So I invite you to relax and join us as we unveil the pivotal themes destined to adorn the canvas of qualitative market research in the years that lie ahead.
Yeah, so I think that there are a lot of interesting innovations that we're seeing in terms of online research methods. And particularly, I think of like online community platforms and how we can better improve various data collection platforms to seamlessly integrate into participants' lives better. Like online communities are going to start looking more and more like social media just because at this point, social media is ubiquitous. Mobile phones are ubiquitous. And people's time is very valuable. So it may be the case that participants don't always have this big chunk of time that they can set aside to sit down and participate in a huge range of activities. But when we think about social media, and I consider, sitting on the tube or sitting on the bus and just observing the people around me all scrolling. These are the moments where we're a little bit idle and where I think researchers have the opportunity to like slot themselves in and use that time to their advantage. So rather than having to sit down and take a laptop out and sort of be stationary, you're actually able to take your research mobile and be mobile with these people as they live their lives and capture, in some cases, even more in the moment insights.
I think that one of the biggest trends in market research for the future will be the inclusion of technology and how that is kind of going to spiral and just keep going on and going further. In terms of how that could help, I believe, as I said, I work with a lot of product innovation and in design research. So thinking about how it can help with product development and how you can create things really quickly in terms of perhaps it's a 3D packaging design instead of getting that created in person and having to print it and all the time. I think that technology will really help in speeding that up and creating things much quicker for maybe rapid prototyping, or maybe you come up with an idea in a group and you're able to create it there and then. I think that will be a really incredible and useful thing for many brands and products in the future. I think that technology like AI can be a really useful tool for researchers, being able to perhaps innovate and come up with quick ideas or ask for a range of product ideas or concept ideas, and really kind of starting to generate and brainstorm with AI. It's not to say that AI will replace us. We have a huge role to play, but it's as a starting point. So maybe where you would have Googled something before and waded through things, it's speeding it up and creating much more of a streamlined and inspirational way to ideate and maybe perhaps work in workshops with clients or with consumers to kind of stretch our thinking. I think that technology can really help in creating inclusivity within market research in two ways. One of them is how us as researchers and consumers will be able to put ourselves perhaps in the shoes of others with particular technology. Maybe it's VR, maybe it's going into the metaverse, maybe it's some amazing technology of the future, but to really provide empathy and broaden our thinking and be exposed to things that we may not have ever been exposed to before, which as a researcher and having that empathy is at utmost important, if not one of the most important things. I also think it will enable people who may not have been able to be in research or take part in research usually to be invited and be part of the story and be part of brands and other things moving ahead in the future with their voice heard where it may not have been otherwise.
I think that as we develop within our industry, our methodologies really do develop as well, so that we can be as efficient and get as close to real behaviors as possible. So obviously traditional market research methods are really integral to gaining insight, but I think we would be naive to think that they are without the limitations. So the addition of agile methodologies will continue to really help us to close the say-do gap, uncovering what it is that people actually do rather than what they say they'll do. So a few kind of methodologies that I guess are top of mind for me. One is social media listening. So this really does help us to get kind of closer to the social environment in which people are behaving, uncovering why culture really drives people to unconsciously behave in specific ways. And this kind of influence of social media provides access to things that are happening all around the world and continuing to actually expand that research potential. And another one that kind of comes to mind is eye tracking. So almost this is a way of using more behavioral research methods to really bolster research and bring the consumer to clients. So helping us actually get closer, understanding actual human behavior in the physical context in which they're navigating, almost like blending this behavioral science and technology to kind of get a truer picture of people. People are really, really fascinating, and I think that by embracing these different methodologies and actually helping to educate my colleagues and friends and people about them, it's really key in getting closer to those real behaviors and understanding what makes people tick.
I think the next big trend in research industry will be accessibility. I think the most important thing, obviously we're kind of already seeing it already, is kind of making sure that everyone is doing things in the most accessible way possible for as many people as possible. But actually the trend will probably be making sure that it's not just a trend, it's not just a fad that's kind of around for 2 months and then people no longer care, they kind of moved on to the next big thing. It's actually going to be kind of here to stay, make sure that everyone is being included and the whole industry is being as inclusive as possible for the longest time possible. I think people nowadays especially expect brands to be inclusive. So even if they're not impaired or disabled, I think 70% of Gen Z consumers have said that they expect brands and they trust brands more when they are more inclusive. So I think that that's going to bring a whole new wave of research in from new clients, new business, new perspectives, and then also see the developments in existing research. I think we're already seeing it in field work that where clients are asking for more accessible methodologies and more accessible ways of recruitment, but also more kind of diverse samples. I think there's still so much to learn in terms of accessibility, so it's important to remember that one size doesn't necessarily fit all, that even if you have 2 people with visual impairments, that the same methodologies, the same recruitment methods won't work for both of them. But I think just in general, we're going to see the whole market research industry be more open and flexible.
I believe that sustainability is destined to remain one of the most pivotal themes in the years to come. Over the past year, I've noticed sustainability emerging as a critical criterion in procurement documents, indicating that companies are prioritising sustainability and actively seeking to collaborate with agencies that share their sustainable practices and values. This encompasses a range of approaches, including the adoption of more eco-friendly research, methodologies, the reduction of carbon footprint, and the minimisation of the environmental impact of data collection processes. Recognising that many of us have committed to achieving the MRS net zero by 2026, I'm confident that many more will pledge to this in due course. I suspect we're likely to witness an increase in the number of agencies and brands transparently measuring and reporting their sustainability efforts, not only to compete against each other, but also to attract talented researchers. Considering that data strongly suggests employees, particularly millennials, prioritise working for companies that provide opportunities to make a positive impact and contribute to a better world. By emphasising the importance of prioritising sustainability, companies can take one of the easiest yet most effective routes to attracting top talent. Consequently, over the next 3 years, our efforts to mitigate our environmental impacts will undoubtedly be subject to close scrutiny by organisations such as the MRS, investors, stakeholders, employees, and prospective talent. So, in essence, sustainability is poised to reshape the market research landscape by pushing the industry to adopt more environmentally friendly practices and adapt research methodologies to address sustainability concerns.
So I think the future of the office environment in research will be a transition to more face-to-face working throughout the industry, sort of following on from the past few years and the pandemic. Obviously everything sort of went online, including sort of field work, but from more of an office perspective, everything went online, and now everyone is sort of getting back to working in more of hybrid roles within the office and from home. And I understand the sort of benefits of the hybrid working. You know, it works for a lot of people, including myself, but I just feel like from a personal perspective, I get so much from working face to face in the office in this industry, and I've learned so much in the time that I've been a PM, and I feel like the majority of that has come from interaction face to face. So I think just passing it on to other people, new starters, people might be helping train, and just emphasizing the sort of benefits of that face to face interaction and sort of what can come from it and how much you can learn.
And with that, we conclude our insights into the future of qualitative market research. If I were to distill one key takeaway, it would be that the landscape of market research is changing, growing, and welcoming new possibilities. If our instincts hold true, the future holds the potential for a transformation that might redefine various aspects of our field. I want to express my gratitude for joining us in this exploration, and an even bigger thank you goes to my fellow finalists, Belle, Nikita, George, Eileen, and Lydia, who contributed their time to prepare and share their perspectives. And of course, a heartfelt thanks to AQR for affording us the opportunity and platform to share our thoughts.